Hello everyone, this is Mohamed ElSabry. Today I'm going to speak about what it takes to build a viral startup. Let me start by introducing myself. I'm a computer science graduate since 2011, started my career as an Android engineer till 2013. After that, I'm doing product management since 2014 till now. I have worked across different domains like fintech, online travel, location-based services, and e-commerce. I tried to build two startups. One of them was in business process outsourcing. The other one was a B2B e-commerce. Both of them failed. It was a pretty cool experience that taught me a lot. On my recent job, regarding my recent job, I was doing product management for Transferwise debit card. Was mainly taking care of card transaction experience across the mobile applications and card transaction authorization, clearing transaction amounts from customer accounts, settling Transferwise liabilities with MasterCard, and doing the internal reconciliation for the card transactions. I was responsible for the debit card. I was responsible for the debit card for European customers, European and UK customers. I joined Transferwise on the beta release of the debit card when they just released it for UK. I joined when we had less than 50,000 customers, and when I left, we had more than 1 million customers. We launched the debit card in 36 countries, in all of Europe, UK, US, Australia, Singapore, New Zealand. We did all of that within 18 months. So yeah, it was a pretty cool experience to launch a debit card in 36 countries and in 36 countries and take it to 1 million customers. That was I learned a lot from this actually. Basically, the session of today is basically a lessons that I learned from my journey with Transferwise. For those who don't know Transferwise enabled customers to send money cross-border using the real exchange rate of central banks. We charge our customers a tiny fees, which make Transferwise actually the cheapest option for customers to send money cross-border. We do this in a very convenient through a very convenient product. We are very transparent as well. The product is very transparent as well because we tell our customers upfront how much money would the recipient would get when they would receive the money and all of these stuff. So this is for the send money product. The company as well has other products like for example, customers can hold up to basically customers can get bank account details in 6 different countries. Like for example, our customers can have kind of bank account details in the UK for sterling pound, in the US for US dollar, in the US for a US dollar account. While they can have bank account details in euro in Germany, for example, for a euro bank account. So customers can get up to our customers can get up to 6 bank account details in 6 different countries, while they can hold money in up to 60 currencies, and they can spend all the currencies they hold with Transferwise using one debit card, which is this beautiful green debit card here in the picture. That was my product. So my product was a debit card for customers to spend all the different currencies they hold with Transferwise. So Transferwise in numbers, it's a $3 billion unicorn. The company has 6 million customers around the world. They use Transferwise to move around £5 billion a month. we save our customers 1 billion pound a year when they move money using Transferwise instead of the high street banks. The company has 2,000 employees. 1,100 of them got hired in 2019. They are located in 13 countries. The company is profitable since 2017, and the number that we are most proud of is that 80% of the new customers, 80% of the customers who they use Transferwise for the first time, they got to know about it from a friend, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool actually that 80% of the new customers are coming through referrals from friends. Worth mentioning that Transferwise is kind of the most recommended brand in the UK in 2017 and 2018 as well. I think 2019 as well was one of the most recommended brands, or actually the most recommended brand. I don't remember exactly. So the question here: a company is growing by 80% just from just by referrals from existing customers. So why do Transferwise customers recommend the product to their friends? We speak to our customers a lot, and we learn a lot of things by the discussions, by the interviews that we always hold with our customers. But we run NPS surveys as well in order to learn and understand, in order to learn about customer challenges, what they are looking for, what they are asking about, and we learn a lot from this as well. So what we do in the NPS report is that I'd expect that everyone or most of the people here are aware of the NPS concept. So basically, we ask our customers, would you recommend us to your friends? If customers score from 0 to 6, those people are kind of they didn't have kind of a nice experience with us, so we don't expect that those guys are going to recommend us. People who they score from 7 to 8, their experience was kind of not as good as they were expecting. Sorry. People customers who score from 9 to 10, those guys are most likely to recommend us to their friends. The way how we calculate NPS is by taking detractors away from promoters and dividing the output on the total number of respondents. This is how we calculate NPS. As per Customer Gauge website, the average NPS for financial services is 34%. Transferwise is 86%. The satisfaction of our customers of Transferwise customers is 86%, which is pretty high. Looking through our data, we discovered that if you move a customer score from 5 to 6, it will double the number of people they would tell about the product. If you move customer score from 6 to 7, they will tell a little bit more. If you move from 7 to 8, you will get a big jump. If you move customer score from 8 to 9, you will have another big jump. So if you think about one metric or one KPI that you would optimize for your organization. So for example, if you are optimizing for revenue growth, maybe you will get a little bit of more revenue. If you will optimize for conversion rate, you will convert a bit more customers. Yeah, this might happen. But if you invest your time trying to learn things that would make customers happy in order to improve the NPS, This means that customers who will come to your product will be much more viral. They will tell much more customers about your product, which will drive growth as a consequence. So think about it this way. If you are optimizing for the NPS, your customers would tell much more of their friends about the product, which will drive growth as a consequence, which will drive revenue at the end, and so on. And it's quite logical. If you have promoters more than detractors, your product will definitely grow. So the way how it works with most of the startups, they build an MVP, a working MVP, and then they spend time fixing significant issues. Some very good product managers would go for an extra mile and provide kind of a seamless user experience or a seamless customer experience. But none of that would move the NPS to a virality stage. What would move the NPS to a viral stage is when you offer your customers something they didn't expect to get. Something they saw that it's impossible to happen. Like, let me give you this example. If you are going to send 1,000 quid from the UK to a Euro bank account in Germany, for example, normally banks would charge between 5 to 7%. So let's say, for example, for 1,000 quid from the UK to Germany, a bank would charge you around £55 for this transaction. If we charge our customers 45, maybe some customers would use our product instead of their banks. But if banks charging £55 and we are charging 5, that's a lot of money that we save for our customers. If they repeat the transaction 4 times, they would save £200, which is enough money for a vacation, to use for vacation. This is the kind of experience that would move your NPS to a virality stage. So today the situation is banks charging customers around between 5 to 7% when they send money cross-border. Transferwise is charging 0.7%. That's a lot of money saved for our customers. So what I would recommend companies to do is that try to analyze your NPS, understand why your customers love your product. What do they like about it? Why would they recommend your product to their friends? And deliver against your findings from the NPS. Like, deliver against the things that you would find through the NPS. So for example, if your customers like your product because you are offering your services in a cheaper than your competitors, then start to capitalize on the pricing. If your customers like your product because you are providing because you are saving them time, save them much more time. This is the kind of experience that would move your NPS to a virality stage, which would make your customers be much more vocal about it. So how do we execute in such a unicorn? So just let me wrap it up here. Just because this mentality, or the things that we find by improving our NPS and the virality rate that the company reached, we are pretty much driven by NPS. Transferwise is an NPS driven organization, and the outcome of that is 80% of customers who use the product for the first time got to know about it from a friend, which is pretty cool. So how do we execute in such a unique way? Transferwise is a mission driven company. But what does it mean? It means that mission driven companies, they have a cause, something wrong in the world, and they are passionate about resolving it. This purpose motivate those companies beyond their beyond any short-term commercial success. They are just passionate and trying to solve the wrong the thing that the problem that they are trying to solve, basically. In every company that I ever worked for, there is a list of things that would make customers happy, and there is another list for making money. What's happening in most of the companies is that they start with the list of things for that would. What's happening with most of the companies that they start with the list of things that makes money, and maybe and maybe later on, if they have if they would have enough time later on, they would look into the list of things that would make customers happy. What we have in such an NPS driven organization, we have just one list of things that would make customers happy sustainably. It's one list driven by NPS, which would drive growth as a consequence. Most of the companies or the startups that I'm aware of, they run, they are implementing a top-down organizational chart. The top-down organizational chart is too dependent on wise people at top of the organizational chart. The problem with that model is that if you are running an NPS-driven organization, people who are kind of high on the NPS, people who are high on the organizational chart, they're quite far from customers. They're quite far from doing any changes to the product itself. Those people mostly, they feel more accountable to numbers in front of the board or in front of the shareholders. And at the end, most probably, they will be kind of a bottleneck at the end. So what we do in order to solve that, our belief in such an NPS-driven organization is that teams are the closest to customers, so they are in the best position to understand customer needs and what customers want, and they are well positioned to just deliver against customer interest. That's why Transferwise teams are independent and autonomous teams. But what does it mean, independent autonomous teams? It means that every team is kind of a standalone startup. Every team is set up around a specific problem they are trying to solve. Every team has its own KPIs. They have full ownership on their to-do list. They have full ownership on what should be done to optimize their KPIs or to solve the problem that they are sitting around. No one would come from the upper management and ask any of the teams to work on something specific. No, people or teams are well positioned, are the closest to customers. They know what should be done. They know what are the customer interests, and they just should deliver against this. So that's why teams have kind of full ownership again on the area that they own or the problems that they are working on. Every team definitely has all the skills and resources they would need in order to deliver. So, because of that, teams earn their birthright when they offer a substantial impact to the company's mission. Just to simplify this, teams got born around a specific problem. They have specific KPIs that's relevant to the company mission. So how do we work with such a high level of autonomy? Just to wrap it up here, to wrap up the we execute part, which is we don't have those wise people at top of the organizational chart. No, teams are the closest to customers. They are in the best position to understand what customers need. No one would come from the upper management and ask teams to work on something specific. We believe that teams understand their problems, understand customer needs, understand customer challenges, and they would deliver against this. So teams has full ownership on their areas. But how do we work in autonomy? I take the debit card team, which was my team in Transferwise, as an example here to explain how we used to work.
So we always plan our efforts quarterly. So we run quarterly. So we run planning every quarter. So but before we go for planning, I spend my time gathering customer feedback and customer insights. On the other hand, I collect the stakeholder requirements. So what I do is that before going for planning, I look into the NPS report, trying to understand customer feedback, what are the stuff that customers are asking for, the challenges that customers are facing. I look into the customer support context regarding the debit card. I look into the data, into our data to see to assess how healthy the KPIs and metrics of my product. I look into the social media reports to see what are the customer comments, what are the stuff that customers are speaking about my product on the social media and so on. I definitely revisit the customer insights that we collected through the customer interviews that we always hold with our customers. This is how I collect the feedback, and this is how I get insights about customer feedback. For the stakeholder side, I used to have a lot of stakeholders. Like I used to have internal stakeholders like finance team. I have a dedicated operations team for the debit card. I used to have treasury as a stakeholder. So these are kind of the internal stakeholders. I do have some external stakeholders like MasterCard, like a payment processor company. So what I do on the stakeholder side, I collect, for example, the requirements of the external stakeholders like MasterCard and the payment processor if they have any kind of requirements that we are mandated to deliver or something. I collect them. On the stakeholder side, I used to have kind of a bi-weekly meeting with my stakeholders in order to be on top of all the updates relevant to my product. So, but before planning, I meet, for example, with operations. We used to have this long meeting where we go through all the challenges that operations are facing that are relevant to my product. We gather them. We assess the impact of each challenge. We map the challenges to the KPIs of my team, the KPIs that my team is responsible for, and then we go for planning. The people who are represented in planning are the product manager, engineers, data scientists or data analysts, UX and UI, we would have always a representative from each internal stakeholder. Like I'd have a representative from operations, another one from finance, another one from treasury. We sit all together around the challenges that the team that the product is facing. Engineers represent the engineering challenges for the product as well, and then we prioritize our backlog of the challenges as their kind of like we prioritize as per the biggest opportunity. Like for example, if our biggest opportunity at the moment is reducing cost, then we prioritize the cost initiative, the cost reduction initiative first, and so on. Just because we are kind of running the company is running a bottom up decision making function. So the prioritization here is not dictated by the product manager. Prioritization here is owned by the whole team. Like everyone is participating in prioritizing the product backlog or the quarter backlog. It's not something dictated by the product. By end of the planning, we should have kind of OKRs that we are going to deliver this quarter, and we should have kind of the strategy. How are we going to deliver each one of them?
After that, we present our quarterly OKRs to the rest of the company. Everyone in the company would get the opportunity to challenge our plans in order to make sure that we are working on the biggest opportunity at any moment of time. So, for example, we might prioritize, for example, to work on 3D Secure in order to stop the fraud losses happening on the e-commerce transaction, for example, on the e-commerce transactions. Maybe someone in CS or an engineer in another team or the CEO or anyone from the upper management, anyone in the company, like maybe anyone can come against us and would say, like, for example, okay guys, why you don't deliver Google Pay and Apple Pay for the card? So you might get a question like that, and you should have kind of a strong reason why you prioritized the 3D Secure, why you prioritize 3D Secure rather than Google Pay and Apple Pay. You should have a strong reason, a strong convincing reason, in order to kind of answer something like that within the planning presentation, which is a pretty cool experience, because this is how we kind of get a feedback about our plan. This is how we make sure that that we are kind of prioritize the biggest opportunity as for the best of our understanding. After the planning, we break down our OKRs into projects. We detail the projects, like we build kind of a detailed project plan for each project, and then we split the projects into tasks, and then we split the tasks across different sprints. So this is pretty much how we execute. There are some conscious trade-offs that has been made in order by running this way, like consistency. So for example, you would find some pages, like for example, the account page might be totally different than the activity page on the application. Why? Because it's owned by different teams, and each one of them has their own KPIs. Each one of them has their own vision of delivering their stuff, which is, for example, on this situation, something painful for the UX guys. So yeah, we lose consistency, we lose efficiency, because same problem is fixed within different teams. So maybe one team is fixing a problem while another team is fixing the same problem. So this is something that we lose. Singularity of vision, as I mentioned earlier, every team has their own, every team has full ownership over their problem, over the problems that the team own, over their KPIs and all of these stuff. So each team build their own vision. Swiftness of collective decision making. Like, for example, if we would like to run the whole organization, if we would like to move the whole organization very fast, incredibly fast, actually, this is going to be hard, because like it's very hard to get everyone to work on something specific and move very fast with that, because each one has their own vision, each team has its own vision, has its own way of doing things. But the sense that we are accountability, teams are very responsible for their KPIs, for their problems, for their products. They are fully responsible for everything relevant to their products. Speed and agility. This is pretty much it, guys. Thanks for having me tonight.